Alright, so this is probably going to be a two-parter, I'm guessing. So I got some vines about the size of my thumb, not bigger than the size of your thumb. A little bit smaller than that even, a little bit smaller than your thumb. And I'm 6 foot, so I want these long pieces that are going to be the structure. I want them to be at least 6 foot long. About 6 foot, 7 foot long. Okay, so here's the first step I've done. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. 5 is good too. 6 is a little bit overdoing it. You could do it with 4. That's what I'm going to do with 4. So I got the same amount going out to each side. Is about 3.5 foot off each side from the center on all of them. And if they have a curve to them, which that one does, and several of them have a curve, I make them all pointing the same way as I lay them out. So I'm going to tie the middle here with some of this stuff I just found on the ground right here. It's sitting right in front of me. And what I got that I showed you from the feeder roots. So let me do that vine around. I'll make a large loop around all of it. You want to start with a large loop using vines. Don't make them small at first or they'll break. So start with a large loop and then pull them down tight slowly. Okay, and there's that feeder root and a vine tied several times around it. That's to start it. Here's what we've done. We've got over and under, over and under, over and under, and whatever holds them together. Usually over and under is fine. Every once in a while you'll have to skip one and go the opposite direction. I mean, keep going in one direction, of course, and cut these vines. These got to be about the size of your pinky, of course, maybe smaller, a lot smaller than your pinky. We're going on up, making it. So you just want to continue doing that, and then we'll pull all this in as we go and just make it tight as we can. And then we can come back later and fill all this in with leaves if we have to. We're going to continue doing that. And of course you want to cut these in about 6 foot lengths also, because there's no way to do I've got several vines here that are, I don't know, 20, 30 foot long. And I just can't manage them going through these cross structures. So what I want to do now is take each side and pull them up to the center. Now believe me, none of this is easy. Okay, so here it is. Got wrapped up with vines, over and over and over and under, over and under, and wrapped around and tied in a half knot, overhand, whatever you want to call it. Just something to keep it together while you work on it. Then I want to move all these apart, get them all pretty much evenly spaced, and start weaving. Okay, so I started with a little bit bigger vine. This size, it's a little bit smaller than a pencil on here, because I wanted to see how far I could get in without breaking it, and it's too big. So that's the size vine that I have, that I found. So that'll only go out to about that circumference there. So I'm going to fill in between on the bottom, which is a lot smaller circumference and diameter wise. I'm going to fill that in with some of the small vine I found on the ground. So now I know where I need to fill in here. So this one has some thorns on it. So you got to be very careful with it. You couldn't cut them off with a knife if you'd like to. But I'm going to weave in and out maybe every other one. It's just something to keep the fish in. If you're going to use it permanently for quite a while, where you're at, you can make it nice and neat and over and under. Sometimes it breaks. Just continue where it broke off. And you can leave some gaps in here. You just won't have any fish that are that small. You need fish that are bigger than that. That won't get out these holes, of course. Pretty self-explanatory. You can pull them in a little bit. Tighten them up if you'd like to. This one broke on me, so I want to continue. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and fill that in, the little holes. Might catch some little fish. And the ends of these I'm just tucking in when I finish, wherever I can find, just to keep them coming unraveled. This is not a quick trap at all. This is probably going to take you, gathering the vines and everything, probably 4 to 5 hours. Just depends on what you find, how big a trap you want to build, what kind of fish you want to catch. Anyway, I won't bore you with all the detail I told you about. I'll just get back with you a little bit later and show you my progress. Got some small stuff in here, and then I'm starting to fill in a little bit in here. Of course, I got all this tied on the top together somewhere in there just to keep it together. It won't flop out on me. Then I'm going to pull this in a little bit as I go. Doesn't have to be right together. Whatever you need for survival. You could tie some cordage from here to here and pull it together and keep it there till you get to that point if you want to. Don't really matter. This one here can come up a little bit. It's whatever it takes. I'm just hooking that right in there, pulling over this one so it'll stay there and then continue around. So this vine here, this vine is about, I don't know, 15 foot, about 25 foot long. I want to cut it in two so I can work with it. Now also, it's kind of strange, it's hard to understand, but if you have an even amount of these, well, on an airplane I call them longerons, but on this, your main poles, long poles, whatever you want to call them, if you have an even amount and you go over this one and under this one and over that one, this one here will always be on the outside and there's nothing holding this in. See what I mean? All of them will be in here. If you have an odd amount of these long poles, they'll always go over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, believe it or not. It's strange, but that's how it works. So a lot of times, some people will cut one of these off after they start it down here. They'll cut one of these off about a foot up, and then you have an odd amount, because you're always going to have an even amount of sticks coming out each side. If you have 4 sticks laid across, you got 8 different legs. If you have 5, you got 10. If you got 6, you got 12, so on and so forth. So what I'm doing is just alternating. I'll do 4, 5, or 6 rows on that side, and then next one I'll go 4, 5, 6 rows on top.